Hey guys, what's up? This is Nuts here. How you guys doing? On today's Camera Basics, we're going to be talking about shutter speed. If this is new to you or you started photography, this is the video for you. Let's go. Shutter speed is how fast we let the light into the lens. That's it. There's no secret to it. Now, if you know from the exposure triangle, the three of them are combined, which is your shutter speed, your ISO, and your aperture. So today we're going to be talking about shutter speed and show you a couple of examples. We'll walk around and other stuff. So it's going to be fun. Now, just like some of the other camera settings, being able to control the shutter speed provides for some really cool creative shots. So now you're probably thinking, well, I just set the number high and that way I don't get no blur. Well, maybe you want some blur. Maybe you want to have some stuff blurred out and some stuff that is not. Okay, so there's two ways that we can adjust the shutter speed on our camera. One is the manual mode, which is switching our mode to M, and the other one is the TV, which is shutter priority. And what that means is that from the three components that make up your triangle of exposure, which is the ISO, shutter speed, and f-stop, we want to give priority to the shutter, which means that whatever we're setting, it's going to be the shutter, and we let the camera decide the other two. So the first thing we're going to do is actually take a couple of shots of water, and I'll take it at different speeds so you can see what's the difference on shutter speed when we're taking the same item. Okay, so we're here at the Canada Pavilion at Epcot. We're going to take a couple of shots of this waterfall that's behind me. And I'll take it at different speeds so you can see how the shutter speed affects the photo that we're taking. So let's go ahead and do it. We got our setup, we got our camera ready to go, and I have it on a tripod so we can bring down the shutter speed so you can see how it affects the photo. And there we got our amazing waterfall here at the Canada Pavilion. So we're going to take the first shot with regular automatic settings, nothing fancy on it. And the camera determined that it'll be 1/60th of a second, 160th of a second. I'm going to take that shot, and there we go. Pretty cool, right? Now we've taken that shot with automatic. We're going to go ahead and adjust the shutter speed. We're going to change that, which is the number down here. You can see it says 160. We're going to change that to, let's say, let's bring it all the way up. And when I mean up means it's going to be a longer exposure. As you can see, as I'm adjusting it, it gets brighter. And what happens is that since the shutter is going to stay open longer, it's going to be brighter. And that way we just want to go ahead and pull back a little bit. We don't need that much here, at least for this example. And here it says 0.5, which is half a second. And there we go, there's the shot with half a second. So now we're going to go the other way. We're going to make it really fast, which means we're going to shoot at 1/2000 of a second and see how it looks. Now once we start shooting at this speed, the really cool thing is that we can actually start freezing the water. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so we can get more detail on it. And now we're going to bring it up to 1/4000 of a second. And now we're going to bring it up to 1/64,000 of a second. Let's bring it all the way up to 1/8000 of a second, which is the max that this camera does. Pretty cool, right? Check out the detail when we hit that speed. You can actually freeze every single drop. How amazing is that? So let's go ahead and get something out of the way, which people ask me a lot, which is, what is the shutter speed that I should be using on my camera? Well, there's a bunch of options out there that you can use depending on what you're photographing. But for example, as a rule of thumb, people would like to use 1 over the focal length that you're using. For example, let's say you got a lens that's 17 to 50 and you're zoomed all the way, which is at 50. So they say that you should set your shutter speed at 1/50th of a second. I like to personally double that because, to be honest, that's supposedly, they say, when you're not supposed to do shake. But if you've seen some of my videos, you know that when you're in dark rides and other stuff like that, I like to start at least with 1/80th of a second. So sometimes I like to double that. So let's say if you're shooting all the way at 50 millimeters, put 1/50 of a second, and you do it times 2, which way means 1/100th of a second. And that's what I usually set my camera to. So the Jamitors are about to come out probably in 20 minutes, and we're going to wait here. We're going to take a couple shots and adjust the shutter speed with different settings so you can see how it affects with live performances and people. So let's check them out.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, what do you say? 1, 2, skin in the D. Hey!
Okay, now just for fun and just to see if we can catch something that has stopped the motion, we're here at the track, and you can see the vehicles passing over us. And there's actually a spot here where you can actually see it right here. So we're going to try to take photos at different shutter speeds, see if we can catch it. Let's see what we can catch. You're wondering, when should I use the shutter priority as well as the other modes? Well, I'll tell you what I like to do. In the case of day shots, which is like usually parades and stuff like this where you're walking around, I'll usually shoot in aperture priority, and I'll put a link to the video where I explain what is aperture and all that fun stuff. But when it comes to nighttime, I like to switch over to what is shutter priority. And the reason for that is that I want to make sure I freeze the action, because when it starts getting nighttime, that stuff starts getting a little tricky, and we want to make sure that we're able to freeze the action. So I like to shoot in what is the TV mode, which is shutter priority during nighttime, because that way I can make sure I freeze the stuff. Okay guys, so that's it here from Epcot. Hopefully you enjoyed this clip. Until then, stay awesome. See ya. Bye.